Hi.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Before we get on to Everton, I just want to mention the Socceroos have released a video this week highlighting the issues in Qatar ahead of the World Cup. Just wanted to get your thoughts on that, first of all.
I haven't seen the video. I've seen the headline, so hard to give you a thought when I don't have too much detail. And probably a question for the Socceroos or for Qatar people at the World Cup. I'm Everton manager.
And going back to Everton, then you were saying last week about how it's important that coaches get time at clubs. I think last weekend really highlighted what you want to do at this club, didn't it?
Well, yeah, in a really small passage of the time that I've been here, we're working towards something daily, actually. And you get maybe games where things come together and a lot of positives are there. There's always things you can improve as well. So as much as it was good, it's good to also reflect on what can be better. But yeah, moving in a good direction, and off the back of the results going into that game, we needed a result, we needed a performance. The lads delivered, but it's important we understand that we need to do that consistently now and improve.
And of course the one negative to come from that was of course the FA charge. What are your opinions on that?
I haven't got an opinion on it. Passion in football. I think the first action that started the incident probably wasn't dealt with in the right way, in my opinion. And sometimes that flares passions in the ground. I don't think anyone got hurt. I don't think it was a huge deal, but as a club we've taken that on, and that's it.
And back to the positives, a number of players returning to full fitness. That's really important, and it must feel great to be able to work with a much healthier squad.
Yeah, that is great. Patterson's back in the squad for this weekend. Dominic showed his fitness levels last weekend. We haven't really had too many periods of a real clean bill of health, and I know most teams don't probably, but at times we've had multiple important players out in the team. So to try and get consistency in selection and form, fitness is a crucial thing. So yeah, there's some positive signs there. So long may that continue, and it keeps us with a healthy competition within the squad when people are fit and firing.
You mentioned that competition. Patterson, as you just said, is back, but given Seamus Coleman's performance at the weekend, that must give you a bit of a headache.
Yeah, really good headache. It's exactly what I wanted, and Patterson, Nathan's been really, really good in this season until he got his unfortunate injury. And then it's allowed Seamus to come in and find fitness and performance, and that peaked, I think, pretty much last week against Palace and against Zaha, one of the hardest players to play against in that position. So I think it's a really healthy competition through two lads. One has been here a long time and one that's coming through, and they get on very well. So I'm more than happy with that.
And now it's about having that confidence in this team to be able to put a string of performances like that consistently, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure, and that's the next challenge for us. And this league's hard. It won't be easy to do that. Not many do, other than the teams right at the top who have been doing it for a long time. So we're striving towards that. It's important you take the knocks as well as the good moments, and it was a good moment last week, but we go to a really difficult opposition who are playing very well themselves this weekend. So it all starts again.
And there were plenty of indications against Crystal Palace, but just how much could Calvert-Lewin help shape the rest of the season?
Well, if we can keep him fit, he's a huge player for us and a big reference at the top end of the pitch. He gives us, I have nice options now when he's fit, with Neil Maupay as well, who's come in and been really positive for us. But Dominic, with his attributes and his history of what he can do at this club, allows you to work off him in different ways. So, yeah, delighted to have him back, and big challenge now for us to give him the right environment, circumstances to stay fit, get fitter, show what he can do.
And have you seen a change in the mindset? Because at the weekend it seemed a lot more positive and confident. Have you noticed that behind the scenes?
With Dominic or the team?
In general.
No, I feel it's been very positive throughout this season. I think everybody understood at the start of the season we had some issues with the players coming in still just in the window. Injuries to Dominic and major players that meant we had to shuffle around a lot. I think the fans and everybody stuck with us in that period. We've seen improvement after that, and I think people within the club, as much as we all want to win every game, understand that when you go to Tottenham and their squads and Newcastle and their squads, those kind of places, there'll be moments when you don't get what you want. So we have to try and keep level-headed. So I think from the inside everyone understands hopefully what we're working to. We have to just take that, appreciate it, but then show them what we've got even more. That's the next challenge.
And of course there's no shying away from the form away from home. What do you feel really needs to change in order to turn that around?
Well, I think our form this season compared to last, has been an improvement. The last 2 games have been very tough, as I just said, but before that we get a win at Southampton. We've got draws at places like Leeds when they were playing well, and Brentford earlier in the season that were tough games. So there have been some shoots and some positive signs for us. I think we need to really have a belief in ourselves and go with an idea. Here at Goodison, we have a great crowd behind us. When we go away, we have to find a way where we have a firmer feeling in the game, and we've shown that a little bit this year, to be fair, even in our defeats. So just build on that.
Excellent, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thanks very much. We'll go to Damien, Premier League Productions.
Hi Frank,
Hi.
It's obviously great to see Dominic back. What kind of patience has he been? Because he's had a long period of frustration, and so I think we saw perhaps sort of a release of all of that on Saturday.
Yeah, he's been great, and when I say that, over the period of time I've been here, he's been really has a real desire to be playing regularly and show what he can do. So in terms of what kind of lad has he been, he's done everything he can do, which is sometimes be frustrated but handle himself in the right way. So when you take a few knocks like that, I know that as a player myself at times they can knock you back. You don't feel like you're one of the group that are going away and playing at weekends, and individually you don't think you're contributing to the team. All those things are difficult to handle for any player, and I actually think looking back he's handled them very well to get himself to a place where he should enjoy his moment last week when he shows an individual performance like he did. And now again it becomes a maintenance issue of just trying to keep him at that level.
Is it realistic to talk about him being part of the England squad again?
Well, it's absolutely realistic, without a doubt, because he's shown that he can be there before in major tournaments and playing for England and scoring goals for his country. And it's one of the benefits of the mix that he'll probably be in is that Gareth will know exactly what he can do. And now probably Gareth has seen him at a level last week is towards the level that he can attain because he's fit. And now there's a nice little challenge for Dom in these next few games to show that he can continue with that form. And then the question is Gareth's, rightly so, to see whether he wants to take him or not.
And what the Fulham offer, one of the clubs of the season really, and with a former Everton manager in charge, it's got all the ingredients, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think they're a team getting results at the moment and playing well. They'll be very happy with their start, I'm sure. Good players, good way of playing, energy in the team. Difficult place to play at Fulham, I know that over the years myself, and a team that's confident. So yeah, we're under no illusions of what type of game it will be. Very difficult, and we have to concentrate on ourselves and have a belief that we can challenge them, which I know we can. We just have to turn up with the right attitude and application, and I think we've gone in for a good game.
Next day, we'll go to Mike Hughes at Radio on Merseyside.
Frank, back to Dominic. He had such appalling luck last season with injuries that he comes in and scores one of the most important goals in Everton's history. And Everton's looking bright and rosy for the start of next season. He got injured again. Given the different sorts of injuries he's had, how do you spoke about maintenance with him now? How do you do that?
Communicate with him. The medical team have to work with him. I have to work with him. We have to communicate together. What's the most important thing? Get Dom to his level and keep him there. So we can adjust parts of training, around training, gym work, medical work, rest days, all things that we can learn and put together from the last, since I've been here anyway, and even before that with Dominic's history, and just try and give him the best service and environment around him to keep him there, and then the rest is down to his talent and his application. So I think we're working towards that, and I think sometimes these injuries are through no fault of anybody's but fate, and we just need to try and find the best way to try and minimise the threat of these things to come along. So that process really, I suppose, starts now, but we're in that process now because we saw him last week, almost where we want him to be.
And that match sharpness makes all the difference, obviously. What you do in training. What you do in training helps towards the end product, but it's what you do on match day, isn't it? That really is, the proof of the pudding.
Yeah, it is. But my belief is always is how you train and prepare through the week will be pretty relative to how you play. I played as a player like that for a long time. With Dominic, we're looking at a different case because we're talking about the injuries. So when I say adjust in training, we still have to get Dominic to levels through the week, and he still has to do the right things to be ready to produce at the weekend. And with a striker who's been out for a while, is the one position on the pitch that is probably more visible if you're not sharp, because you have to be sharp in those areas of the pitch. And I think what we saw last week was a sharp player, but I still think there's room for more. And I think Dominic will say that we can't expect after the start at Newcastle and then a really good performance at Palace, that he's going to be exactly where he or we want him to be. I think there's more to come, so it's keep working in that direction, and the more weeks we get through with good training, the more games he can play at a high level. Hopefully we see him get even closer to that mark.
You spoke after the win against Palace about it being a template for where you go for the remainder of the season. How do you sort of enable that to happen, or hope for it to happen week in, week out now? Because it is easy said than done.
Yeah, and when I say template, I don't mean let's replicate exact tactics or system or for the game, because I think every game is a different challenge. We've seen that in travelling to Tottenham and Newcastle. There's different threats every week in this league, so we have to adjust a little bit. But in terms of the way that the players worked and the idea of how we wanted to play and took that on board, there'll be different tweaks to how we want to approach Fulham, because Fulham are different to Palace. But what I was pleased about was the application of the lads in every position, in every relationship on the pitch, the way they took on what we wanted to do and just did it really well. And that's certainly with and without the ball, because I thought we were really good out of possession last week in terms of our work ethic and organisation around it. So, yeah, in those senses, it's just a standards thing of we reached a standard going into that game that we produced, and we have to keep that standard, never become complacent, never think that the next game will be easier, because they're all harder. And continue in that way. If we do that, then I think we've got a chance of having a good season.
A lot of suggestions pre-season that Alexander Mitrovic didn't have what was required to be successful in the Premier League because he struggled previously, but my goodness, he's making people eat their words because he's been phenomenal so far. Getting balls into the box from both sides, he gets on the end of them, so supposedly the best way of trying to neutralise that is to cut out the crosses, which again is...
Yeah. I mean, he's shown himself. I don't think I know what you mean in terms of Premier League, but I saw his international record recently, and it's outstanding as well. So I think he's a top level player anyway. And for whatever circumstances previously, he hasn't maybe been as prolific, and now everything is working for him. So I think as an all-round striker, he's really strong. But crosses are a big threat, and it's twofold: stopping crosses and dealing with balls in the box in the dangerous goal-scoring areas where he's very difficult to mark. If he can get a jump and a run on you, in the air, he's one of the best players in the league for sure. So we understand the threat. It's up to the lads to stop it. There are other threats in the Fulham team, but clearly he's a big threat for them. Thanks.
Thanks. Are there any further questions in the open section? If you can just use the microphone there, please. If you can just pass that back.
I just wanted to ask, obviously Fulham was sort of almost in that category of becoming a bit of a yo-yo team who sort of had seasons in the Premier League before. What do you think is different about them this year that's got them obviously start?
Oh, they're in good form. I don't think the issue has been necessarily level of player. They came in before previously, they invested a lot, it didn't work out. They've changed some things, they've changed coaches, and sometimes you have moments where things come together in a good way and the team are working. Some of the players have been there a while now and have experienced that up and down and back up, so maybe they're more robust to it. But they've got a good way of playing. I thought they brought in some good players as well that have improved them in different areas, and the maturity of the team is probably more stable than it has been for a few years now. And then they're in good form. So I think we just have to treat them exactly as that and respect them for that. But also, as I say, sort of focus majorly on ourselves. But we know we're in it for a tough game, and you just have to respect what Fulham have done so far. We're still early in the season. There's a lot can happen for us and for them. But at the moment, we have to treat them with the respect that they deserve.
As you mentioned, it's a former Everton manager. You've got players that played under him. Have you tapped into that maybe?
No, I haven't. Spoken to a couple of staff members that were here, but not to ask too much about it. We do a lot of work on Fulham, how they're playing now, and analysis of what they look like in this season. I'm not sure I gained too much from going back to that period, so not so much now.